Hi, this is Sue Jackson of the Book by Book blog, and I'm here with another Friday Reads. And can you tell what time of year it is? I love Halloween. Our whole family does. When the kids were little, we had so much fun. We'd dress up with them. We'd do family themes. I'll show you a quick glimpse. The excitement of little kids on Halloween night getting ready to go trick-or-treating is just unsurpassed. There is nothing better. And while I miss those days, we do still decorate and enjoy the season. This past weekend, we met up with our son and his girlfriend. He just moved out a few weeks ago. They're in their new apartment not too far away. And he actually reached out and texted me and said, do you guys want to meet at Northbrook, the farm market we go to every year for pumpkins and hot, fresh apple cider donuts, and they have fresh cider as well. So I am so glad that he also still enjoys our family tradition. We are actually going to all be together this weekend. Each fall, I book a lake house somewhere nearby, a house right on a lake for a weekend. It's not much, but these days, our sons are 26 and 30. They're busy with their own lives. It's the one time when it's just us together, with their girlfriends, of course. But yeah, it's just really special. Super low-key, super chill. We really... Last year, there was a tropical storm on our lake house weekend, and it had no effect on us at all. You know, we were just lying around this beautiful rental house. We could see the storm outside, eating, talking, laughing, playing games. Yeah, just fun. Usually when we see them, it's some big family event with everyone there. So this is just us, just our chance for the four and now the six of us to be together. So really looking forward to that. And my younger son, when we were picking out pumpkins at the farm this weekend, said, can we bring them next weekend and carve them together? So I love that he is still into our family traditions. And yes, we will be carving pumpkins together this weekend. Though I do miss the days of costumes and trick-or-treating. They always had friends over, and yeah, the excitement of trick-or-treating beforehand, and then the excitement of trading candies afterwards. It was a lot of fun. These days, I can't actually eat candy. I did treat myself to a half a donut on Saturday. It was the first sugar or flour I've had in 10 months because of health problems. So yeah, it was quite a treat. But anyway, we are ready for the season and enjoying it. So, and along those lines, I have been reading for the RIP event that I participate in every year. That's Readers Imbibing Peril. It's something that used to be hosted in the book blog world and is now hosted on Instagram. There's no sign up. Anyone can join the fun. It's just reading darker books during this darker season. One of many reasons that I love fall. So my latest read was November Road by Lou Berney. This is a road trip thriller, so right up my alley. And I loved it. It was really good. I bought it for my husband as a gift last year. You hear this about a lot of my books. I like to get him things that I can enjoy too. So in this case, this book won multiple awards. It had a blurb on the front cover from Stephen King saying, when people say they want to read a really good novel, the kind you just can't put down, this is the kind of book they mean. Exceptional. And he was right. Loved it. It's like got everything. So you've got different perspectives in this novel. For starters, you meet Frank Guidry, a guy in New Orleans who works for a famous mob boss there, who I found out after reading this was an actual real-life person, Carlos Marcello, renowned New Orleans crime boss. So there's another thing to love about this book. It begins in New Orleans. And even though it takes place in the 60s, in 1963, and I lived there in the 80s, there's still, I recognized all the street names, the places they were going. So really enjoyed that as well. So Frank has kind of worked his way up in the organization. He feels like he's on good terms with the boss. And then he finds out that the boss wants him dead. And so Frank goes on the run. He's been sent to Houston for a job. And after he finishes the job, he just cuts off communication and takes off. So he's on the road heading west. Doesn't know where he's going to go. There's one guy in Las Vegas. This crime boss is so well connected. He feels like there's no one he can trust. But there is one guy in Vegas that he thinks would probably help him out. So he's headed in that direction. We also meet Charlotte, a wife and mother who lives in a small town in Oklahoma with her husband and her two adorable little girls. They're 7 and 8 years old, Rosemary and Joan. And Charlotte is just sort of resigned to the life she's living. She's not really happy. She loves her daughters, but her husband drinks a lot. He drinks away all the money that he earns when he is able to keep a job. And one day, after Sunday dinner with his family, another Sunday dinner that, she has worked hard for, and afterwards, as usual, her husband makes an excuse to go out, even though she knows he's going to the bar. And she just decides she's had enough. She packs up herself and the girls, and while her husband's out drinking, they leave. They just get in the car and head west. If you hear that knocking, that's the skull hanging on our front door. Like I said, we do like to decorate for Halloween. And as luck would have it, recording day is another windy day and the skull is banging. Sorry about that. So anyway, so Charlotte and the girls are headed west. Frank is headed west, and you can guess what happens. They cross paths. At the same time, we also get the perspective of the horrible killer that has been sent to deal with Frank. He's renowned in the organization. He is very cold and never fails to get his job done. So we've got his perspective as well. So you've got these three paths really all coming together. So there's plenty of suspense here, a little bit of violence, but there's also a little bit of love. There is lots of humor. I just loved it. If you do read it, start at the back where the author's notes are, because he's included a November Road playlist. So if you like to listen to music while you read, I can't do that. The lyrics would completely mess me up. But it's a fabulous playlist from that time period. Many of them are, maybe all of them are songs actually mentioned in the book. So there's music and humor and suspense. I just loved it. Great book. Stephen King always makes a good recommendation. Next up, I received a surprise in the mail last week, and so I wanted to get to that right away. Not Quite a Ghost by Anne Ursu. So Anne and I kind of go way back. She has the same chronic illness that I have, the same immune disorder. At one time, her son had some health problems as well. We've got a lot in common, and over the years, we've corresponded. I used to write reviews of children's books, but also movies and music and toys and all kinds of things for Family Fun magazine. And I reviewed one of Anne's earlier novels, The Shadow Thieves, for Family Fun, and I think that's how we started corresponding on email. The plot of that book and this one involve chronic illness, and so that's how I found out that she has the same illness that I do. So she writes these fabulous books for middle grade readers, usually fantasy, at least the ones that I've read. She's an excellent writer. She's got a sense of humor. There's always suspense. Just a great writer. But she does sometimes work chronic illness into her stories as sort of a form of evil. So in The Shadow Thieves, it was basically Greek gods messing around on Earth. It came out at about the same time as The Lightning Thief, which I also reviewed for Family Fun magazine. But kids were getting sick, and it turned out to be the fault of some Greek gods acting badly. In this case, there is an 11-year-old girl whose family has just moved to an old house. She ends up with the creepy kind of room up in the attic. So it's the third floor. She's up there by herself. She's not thrilled about this setup, but her older sister, who's a teenager, got first choice, and she's got a toddler brother as well. So they've just moved to this new house. At the same time, she has just started middle school, and she's had these two best friends forever, but things in middle school are more complicated, as they always are. And then she gets really sick right at the start of school. So that's as far as I've gotten so far. I do think she and another friend, a new friend that she meets at school, are researching ghosts. So I don't know yet whether this is a literal ghost story or not, but Violet, as she gets sicker, is spending more and more time in her attic room by herself, and it's feeling more and more creepy to her. Yeah, so it is outstanding, just like all of Anne's books. There's the skull again. And yeah, and I'm enjoying it. And there is nothing better than a ghost story at the end of October. On audio, I have been listening to a classic, which is great because I'm way behind on my classics challenge for the year. My aim was to read 6, and I think this is only my second. So I am listening to Arsène Lupin versus Sherlock Holmes. So if I hadn't been saying it, when you just look at the title of this book, because I did, for the first few times I looked at it, my brain just read it as what I thought it was, Sherlock Holmes, but it's not. So this is it was translated in English back in 1910. And I'm guessing he wasn't able to actually use Sherlock Holmes, so he came up with this. But it is the same character, basically. And there's even a tongue-in-cheek reference to Arthur Conan Doyle in the novel. So this is, I'm sorry. I was just in the middle of talking when a text from my son came up on the screen saying, I had to order a mannequin for work. It's going to be shipped to the house. Don't be alarmed. It just seems perfect for the season, so I thought I'd let you in on that. That's life around here. A little crazy. Okay, so anyway, I was familiar with Lupin from the Netflix TV series. My husband and I have watched the first 2 seasons of that. I think there's a third now that we haven't watched yet. But so I knew he was the gentleman thief from, famous in French literature. And I don't think I mentioned the author's name. It's Maurice LeBlanc. So yeah, so this is the famous gentleman thief versus the famous British detective, Sherlock Holmes. So yeah, it's really fun. There are several interlocking stories in which Lupin is a suspect, but the French police can never quite nail him down, which is basically the through line of all of his stories. Only in this case, the world's greatest detective has been brought in and is on the case. So it's very interesting so far. They're sort of taking turns trapping each other and getting out of it. So it's a lot of fun. I'm glad I've been watching the Netflix series, so I know who Lupin is. And there's some humor here, obviously, with the pseudonym, and plenty of suspense and mystery, and yeah, just kind of a classic mystery. So I'm enjoying that on audio, hoping to fit in one more middle grade audio for the RIP season before the end of the month. Oh, I almost forgot again. My husband is reading Dracula. I listened to it on audio about 9 years ago, I think. He's been meaning to read it for years, and so he picked up a copy in one of the indie bookstores that we visited on our trip to New York State. You can see the bookstore visits in a video. And so he's been reading that all month. He's really enjoying it. He did say last night, maybe I should have picked this for Big Book Summer. But I pointed out it's taking him a long time because he's not reading that much. It is college football season. He is really into college football. He went to Oklahoma State. But apparently when you're a football fan, you also have to watch like all the games that your team's opponents are in. Yeah, so he's watching a lot more TV than reading these days. So I'm sure, but he's enjoying it. I know it's a really good book and perfect for the season. So that's what we're reading this week. I would love to hear what you're reading. Please let me know in the comments down below. And have a happy Halloween.